Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today na Country Sunday, number 22 day for this month of August 2022. My name na Capo Daniel. I am the Deputy Defense Chief of the Ambazonian Defense Forces and the spokesman of the Ambazonian Governing Council. Una welcome to our daily podcast, a program where we bring una the truth, fact-based analysis for help we as we work for this journey to our freedom, the independence of Ambazonia. Good people of Ambazonia, as Ambazonians across our national territory observe the Monday day protest to demonstrate by sitting at home, staying at home, to the entire war that the people of Ambazonia do not want any union with La Republic. We want separation and outright independence. We recognize these sacrifices that our people are making for the common good of our people and for our goal and aspiration to be a complete and independent state of Ambazonia. The occupation of our homeland have been predicated on the use of brutal force of subjugation, and as we go through this wall of subjugation, every day we battle with the various arms of La Republic du Cameroon occupation. Today, a video have been released by one of those who had presented themselves as Ambazonian activists who go by the nickname Bush Hunter. Riz Takang, a person we know have been working to advise the Cameroon government as part of this their intelligent wing called the DDR Center. The DDR Center is run by Peter Mafani Musonge, the head of the so-called Bilingualism Committee, which is a front of the Cameroon intelligence wing in prosecuting this genocidal war against Ambazonia. Before we tackle the issue that was raised and that the Cameroon government is pushing through many fronts, we want to highlight what has struck this particular note, which is the statement released by the Office of the President of the Ambazonian Governing Council, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. But first, we want to inform our people, say the Bamenda Brigade of the Ambazonian Defense Forces, the Rambi battle in strong battle with La Republic du Cameroon in the capital of our resistance, the home of the brave in Bamenda. We had launched operation in 3 different fronts in Rendezvous, Sumo, Mankon, Mosang, and many other places around town in Bamenda, because we had noticed the coming in again of another line of troops we believe was to secure the town for the presence of La Republic du Cameroon Mad Dog from 3 dropout ATANGA. This operation have been heating up over the night. We have been flanking and outflanking La Republic du Cameroon troops across Bamenda. Those operations will continue. We will hit them anywhere in town in our choosing. It is our town. It is our homeland. It is Ambazonia. Back to the letter released by the Office of the President of the Governing Council. The part read as follows. My fellow Ambazonians, as you resist the enemy daily, I want you to master the occupation liberation nexus. Occupation begins with the occupier using its military to create an acceptable environment for governors, DOs, fake mayors, and parliamentarians to provide legitimation to occupation. Once that is done, they create the police to help protect them and control you. They make laws, impose their tax, car number plates, and other rules that grants them power over you. Liberation begins with the general uprising against the occupation. Then it moves to the period of a revolution when traitors, enablers, collaborators are hung, and then to provide the actual liberation struggle that targets the military, that grants protection to the civilian administrators. Once the military is weakened, most administrators escape. The principal aim, therefore, of the occupation military is to weaken our resistance to create the condition for the return of mayors, DOs, and others. In our resistance, we must prevent that from happening. We must target any civilian impostor representing aliens and foreign rule. We must make sure that their laws don't apply to our land. All their symbols and flags, car number plates, colonial dates becomes history. That's how you delegitimize and take gradual control. Military occupation is unsustainable. That's why each time America take over a country, they look for civilian administrator to grant legitimacy to their occupation. We must know that we have defeated the enemy. Propaganda, bribery, corruption, massacre are their last desperate weapons, and we must be smart. My country people, for this message, the leader of our war of liberation, he highlights the very nature of our strategy to eliminate and end Cameroon rule over Ambazonia. It is a gradual project. It is a phase-by-phase progressive strategy to rule back Cameroon presence and rule and impose and take over our territory and impose Ambazonian rule and domination. To give a good example, we must chop, but now it matters say now we pot where you the chop for. What better way to put this message to our people but to play a message that begin the whole resistance for our struggle from Tasang Wilfred. Listen.
In this country, by Monday we will know whether Yaoundé controls Anglophone Cameroon or we control our country, because where they are doing.
We will know whether Yaoundé controls Ambazonia or we control our country. Echoes from what from Tasang Wilfred, the elected representative of Ambazonian Teachers and Students Union, CACTO. Fellow Ambazonian, it not been just a matter of school, it not just been a matter of number plate construction or whatever. The main thing we matter now, who is in control, on whose order. So when it comes for school, schools will go on. You cannot deny school. Our people will have essential service. They are going to have road. But under whose authority those things are going on or are being carried out is what really matters. Recently, the clash of Ambazonia and La République du Cameroun have come on the issue of education. Make no mistake, it matters who is in control. Is it Cameroon or Ambazonia? Because our people lack understanding of this liberation movement or how liberation is done. They get easily caught up by Cameroon strategies and made themselves vulnerable to be used by the Cameroon government to subdue Ambazonian voice and promote contrary voices to our own, while Cameroon on its own platform magnifies their voice. Why for over 3 years, the Ambazonian Governing Council have been making sure education is done under our authority as Ambazonia, including private school, faith-based institutions, schools, etc., be open only under Ambazonia authority. Today, our people have been lured into a false debate about this issue that have made Ambazonian voice and projection to be tampered. Our country have already been colonized by Cameroon. We are fighting to free ourselves. The Ambazonian Governing Council did not institute the Cameroon presence in Ambazonia, but we are removing our people and ruling back Cameroon occupation. We did not choose the date for school resumption to start in September. Those who are going around saying that why are we choosing to start our school in September are all injecting a false narrative that only helps the enemy. We did not choose 1st September as the day to start our school. We simply picked up our people where Cameroon have dumped them, and we are gradually removing them neighborhood by neighborhood, strategy by strategy, sector by sector to rule back Cameroon presence. It is a gradual process. We have never politicized the date of the opening of our community school because it is supposed to be a projection, a political projection that empowers our people and reinforce Ambazonian rule. We did not just wake up and ban Cameroon number plate. We create the condition where we can actually enforce those laws before those bans were made. With education, we are picking up education. We have started with baby steps, setting up community school where they do not exist. We have to attract our people into this community school, which we have been doing so for the past 3 years. We have received the highest number of Ambazonians who had went into La Republique for schools returning back home to participate in our community school. It is not a time for people who have not been involved in this school issue to be used by the enemy and their minders and advisors to undermine Ambazonia's projection of its own education. Stop the debate. Stop the falsehood that only helps the enemy. You have been deceived that people want to avoid Cameroon school date in September and put a date on the 1st of October for school to resume in October, which will undermine our own Ambazonian nationalism. Those who are advocating for school should start in October 2, 3, 4. Have they think about the pride the Ambazonian students that we have raised by the governing council that gave Ambazonians a chance to show the world and the international community that we are educating our people? Have you thought about those images and how such decision would destroy those images and our ability to make such dream and projection for our country come true? Definitely, the issue of challenging Ambazonian governing council is only an excuse being used to fool and deceive our people to shoot themselves on their leg. If you were to remove school resumption and put it ahead or after the date of Ambazonian independence, how can you governize students who are not going to school, who have been dispersed and go to vacations, holiday homes, or visit their auntie to come and join the celebration of 1st of October, which is supposed to be the celebration and projection of what already is going on in Ambazonia? Definitely, to remove that date to October will defeat Ambazonian nationalism. It is a wrong thing to do. Our community schools and the education board of the governing council have been increasingly synchronizing not just our community school, nationalist community school, but local community schools that are coming up within the network. This synchronization must be enhanced and preparation must be meticulously done with not just the opening date but the closing date, and the consideration for the formal colonial era date of school opening and school closure will also be taken into consideration. Our demography will be taken into consideration as harvest seasons, planting seasons also have an impact, as most students, especially in our rural areas, also assist family in doing farm work. What we cannot do is taking decision few weeks before the date in which schools would naturally or have been resuming in our country. The date of school opening might be significant, but even more significant is not about whether the school starts or it doesn't start. It's about under whose authority are schools starting or will go under. Cameroon government schools have been banned. Those who seek to stop schools should seek to stop Cameroon government school on the 1st of September. Ambazonian community school will start as they have always been starting during this past year in September, while we prepare their mindset and we consult with various stakeholders to decide on subsequent school opening date. All private schools, community schools that have been given the status of community schools, religious schools, should make sure their students adhere to our community school standard. No uniforms in town, no uniforms in schools, no national anthem of La Republique du Cameroon, and our students should have the right to choose whether they want to sing Ambazonian anthem or not. They should express themselves freely. Everybody or anybody who spots any student in our cities, any place in Ambazonia, putting on a school uniform, that means say that student Idiwaka find problem. Let's focus against a common enemy, Cameroon government schools. We should focus on fighting and closing all Cameroon government schools and focus on projecting Ambazonian schools and schools under Ambazonian authority. Anybody who keep on focusing on subduing the projection of Ambazonian authorities and Ambazonian schools are doing so helping La Republique, knowingly or unknowingly. School opening date should not be used or allowed to be used by an excuse of those people whose main target is to suppress Ambazonian education from those who hold the education in their hands, who have built it from the foundation up, from projecting it over Ambazonia for the international community to see. They want to stop our projection of our community schools, and they want to stop our projection of our nationalism on the 1st of October. All the motives they are given are just excuse, like they have always been given. Due to space and data limitation, I will stop here and I will get a special edition that is going to put forth the Cameroon strategies and the countermeasures we have taken under the guidelines of the policies of the Ambazonian Governing Council, and we encourage all factions and all patriots to take their queer to these organizations and these principles that are meant for common good. We also appeal to internal opposition to do opposition with patriotism and not undermine national interests. If you must oppose and criticize as an opposition or an internal competitor or rivalry, do so patriotically, knowing that we are in the middle of war. Do not let Cameroon government and their agents and minders influence you as a political opposition, as an internal rival and internal competitors, to use you and undermine ultimately what we are fighting for. Be responsible in your criticism. Make your suggestion responsibly in a patriotic manner. Debate, don't argue. For the meantime, Ambazonian community schools and schools that have been given authority by Ambazonians will start schooling this year in September. The world should know that no students will be coming on our streets with uniforms. That will show the world that we are in control of our education. We are not fighting against education. We are fighting against an alien imposition of education system over Ambazonia. In this year, the world should see our students in class studying in Ambazonian liberated areas, controlled and protected by our forces. This year, the world should see that all across Ambazonian territory, no students have put on uniform because they pay allegiance to the Ambazonian flag and nationalism. The heart of the people are with Ambazonia. This should be a sign to the world. This should be the measure rod to the international community that on September, students will not be putting on uniform. Cameroon government schools have been closed across Ambazonia, except in small pockets of places where you have Cameroon heavy military presence, and most of those students are students that have been brought in as supporting staff for the Cameroon military. Cameroon is unable to govern our territory and impose her schools and laws upon Ambazonia. Ambazonians have taken the responsibility over their own destiny, their own land, and are shaping their status and political outlook to reflect their nationality, their sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Capo Daniel, signing off.